Blessings. Welcome in. I hope everyone is doing well. I am Melissa. So I wanted to share a bit of personal revelations and experiences that I've had recently that I thought might be helpful to others with their own journeys. It was brought to my attention, and it's been slowly building, and I've been getting little tidbits, and now I'm able to see the broader picture of why things have occurred in my life, especially as far as individuals, people, soul family, and the experience that have come about that have brought further expansion for me, for the lessons, the teachings that, and the appreciation for the beauty in which those lessons are. I wish to express it in a different terminology, and many identify what I am going to illustrate as karma. And I'm not a huge person to use the words karma because there's a lot of distortion attached to that phrase. And it's just thrown about anymore. Karmic this, karmic that, and people apply a negative perspective on the word karma. And if you can move beyond all that and go back to its root, to its source, it is basically what you give out is returned to you. What you sow, you will reap. The Hermetic law of cause and effect. That's all it is. There is no good karma. There is no bad karma. There is no karmic debts. It is just energy exchange of giving out and receiving. And if you are in a unfavorable light and you are working from lower based energies, emotions, thought forms, and projections, what you are projecting out into the world, your intentions or unconscious intentions, will be returned to you. Threefold, tenfold, however one chooses to perceive based off of their belief system. So for me, I prefer to see it as cause and effect. I perceive to see it as the writing of the wheel. And the writing is what is imbalanced needs to be harmonized and brought into balance. And that creates your infinity of flow, of energetic flow. So what if we can look at it as extremes versus negative or positive, the pendulum swings from one extreme to the other. There needs to be a graceful dance between polarities. And if something continues and is no longer in that energetic, infinite structure of flow, and then starts to circle and builds and holds and then expands of one extreme. Something needs to come in and break that cycle so that the energy can start flowing again. So it automatically will be brought to the other side, its polar force, and be brought back into balance and harmony. Okay. So with that little rambling, I have been shown that I've been in, this year has, well, not just this year, and I don't think it's ever categorized as like, this is a karmic year, this is, because I see it as we're always in a state of flux. We are always in a state of trying to harmonize in differences of duality, trying to pull and make balance and synergy. And that's the mastery of, for me personally, life, is when there is disorder, how do we bring it back into order? When there is chaos, which is natural and needed for creation, what is needed to bring that chaos and bring it into a structural order and form? So the mastery for me is being able to see and take these things and harmonize them so that they're not so discordant, that they're not so against each other, that they're not so polarized and separated and constantly battling. And it's learning to work with your energy first and foremost, because you can't work with others if you can't control and tame your own energy and balance your own source. So what I was shown, and I've had some pretty profound experiences just in this past year, and it's amazing, and it has helped me expand. It has helped me go so deep into myself, to look so deep for further growth and expansion and understanding and of healing and learning more compassion and love and generosity, non-judgment, and accepting things for what they are, yet seeing when things are pushing up against and trying to force you into something that your soul knows and says is not in alignment. And then establishing said boundaries, standing up for oneself, of knowing when we're giving too much energy. I mean, back to this karmic return. It's recognizing and understanding energetic exchange. And whatever you're exchanging with, whether that's people, humans, relationships, family, systems, your workplace, environments, it's learning to see, are you always giving out? Are you always giving out? Do you see how this energetic flow is? It's not a reciprocation of energy flow, a give and take. And many of us fall in the extremes of giving, 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 or taking, taking, taking. And my apologies, because I'm just following the energy in the way that it wishes to flow. And interestingly enough, the energy shifts and changes based off of the collective distortions that have imprinted on it and have suppressed, has compressed the energy from flowing how it inherently wants to or needs to be expressed. All right. So I'm going to share a little experience of what I've come to and the little revelations that I've made that have helped me come to terms and accept and hold more compassion and forgiveness and just say, thank you for the experience. And then saying, it doesn't need to take me down. It doesn't need to, it doesn't define who I am. However that situation occurred. So what I was being shown with this karmic return, and we hear about paying karmic debts, we hear about receiving karmic rewards. And it's however one defines whatever it is. If you see it as reward or you see it as a debt. Again, it's those, the terminology that you use and you apply to it will structure and create a particular perception that may not be beneficial for you. That's why I try not to label a lot of things. I just allow the innate and the intuition to communicate what it is without actually attaching to a complete form, because that will ultimately change as we progress and expand our awareness and our remembrance. So it's having to be open and fluid and being very adaptable to circumstances, situations, ideologies, thought forms, belief systems, dogmas, whatever it is. All right, we're not going there. So I'm going to explain one particular scenario that I feel may help other people. And if you want to look at astrology and your birth charts, I'm not an astrologer, yet I've researched and analyzed my chart through thick and thin, and I've understood and been able to watch cycles and seasons and alignments process through my chart, and I can see it as a huge clock or wheel where there are aspects and energies that will align and unlock, and some will lock. So it's constantly these moving parts. And when you can understand how your chart is designed, it helps you understand the individual that you are and how your energies can and will play out, and how you can work with those energies to be beneficial versus detrimental to your everyday environment you're living. So I want to talk about Okay? So, okay. So I want to talk about my particular North Node and South Node. I have a North Node in Leo, and then I have a South Node in Aquarius. And it was shown to me a while back, a few months back, so that it could help me understand what I was going through. And I came out of my long pilgrimage, hermitage stage, and started to reconnect with soul groups and soul families and the collective, and then started interacting with the collective. And if you want to look at the Aquarius nature, it's all about humanity. It's all about humanitarian efforts, collective consciousness. It's bringing everything into a whole, right? And there were many times that I would ponder on my previous life or lives with that Aquarian nature. Your past life, these are experiences, these are things that you already know. These are gifts, abilities, things that you have carried through up until now. So I had already been part of the collective mind, the group think, the humanitarian concepts. And for whatever reason, there were situations in those past lives where I was on board and I was part of the group. But for whatever reason, and I still don't fully know, I don't know exactly what made the change, but I was shunned and turned away from the group. I was ostracized, and many of us feel that, and we know that. And we're like, I don't feel like I fit in. I don't feel like I'm part. I don't feel like this. People don't understand me. They don't understand where I'm coming from. I have all these ideas. I have all this information. I have all this that I just want to be part. And that's part of the separation of the whole collective consciousness. But what I'm stating is the Aquarian nature. And with us being in the Aquarian age right now, everybody's like trying to get back to that unification, to be in that unity consciousness, to find oneness, to be one with all. But they're not understanding. They just think it's oneness with people. It's oneness with humanity. No, you got to go beyond and further than that. You were so much more, and there are so much more consciousness and kingdoms, entities and beings that are part of us, that are us. And we neglect to see them and the beauty and the gifts that they offer us. So, with that, I found myself reconnecting with soul tribes and families. And I'm going to state right now, this is no judgment. This was a learning lesson. Not just for me, but for many. And I couldn't understand the experiences that I was having. And it's not even worth going into the negative aspects of it, but I was still experiencing the ostracization, the oppression. Because of these karmic returns. Because in other lives, these experiences happened, and they have to come full circle in order to be cleared, to recalibrate, to be rebalanced, to right the wheel, because there's an energetic thread within my life and those that I've connected with in previous lives. And it's hard because, like, we fall in and we meet these people and we're like, you have a soul connection, whatever, whether it's friendship, family, love, whatever, or you're even your boss. And then you're put in these harsh situations and you're just like, I can't fucking handle this. Why am I being punished? And then we go into that victimization role and you're like, but when you can step back and see it for what it is and say, okay, I'm being gifted an opportunity to balance, to harmonize injustices. Not taking the hand and saying, I'm bringing justice to a situation. No. You do that by learning compassion, by learning forgiveness. First and foremost, for yourself. Because in that previous situation, you could have been the victim or the perpetrator. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. It's the fact of, energetically, we are being gifted opportunities to experience things that we experienced prior, yet different circumstances, different outcomes, probabilities, all that. And saying, what is the best and highest outcome that is beneficial for all? And you're making it inclusive. It's not just about you. And saying, well, I had to do what I had to do, and it doesn't matter. No, it's saying, look, this happened. It is what it is. And I accept it for what it is. But I'm choosing to look beyond it. I'm choosing to look at it with compassion, with love, with forgiveness, and hold space and say, thank you. Thank you. I'm being grateful for the experience. And then letting it go. And then we're not holding these energetic ties. We're not holding and carrying these burdens into the future. We're not repeating these karmic cycles. The mastery of it is seeing the beauty of it all. But what happens is it brings up these traumas. It brings up this embedded DNA of memory. And it needs to be looked at. And once we look at it and we become aware of it, yet we don't judge it, and we perceive it differently, and then we accept whether it's our flaw, we made the mistake, but choosing to still love ourselves, love others, beyond that, and saying, okay, I'm not going to go that same route. That's the lesson. I'm not going to keep repeating. It's the story of hurt people hurt people. Just because you're hurt doesn't mean it's okay to hurt other people. Just because you feel uncomfortable doesn't mean that you disown somebody else. You know? Just because you're uncomfortable doesn't mean that you defend and put up walls against other people either. But it's learning to give yourself that compassion. Say, okay, I was working with the tools and the resources that I had and the memory and the survival mechanisms that are within me and the things that I've learned, and it's okay. But the moment we make the choice and say, enough is enough, I see the cycle, or I see the pattern, I break the cycle, and I choose not to keep going round and round and round. I want to flow. And the universe is in an infinite flow. So the more that we resist, the more that we continue to go into these cycles, the harder and harder it gets. It's acknowledging that and saying, like, I want more and I want better. And I know I can be better. And it's that energetic push that, I don't want to say forces us, but it creates that energetic movement to push us forward, to expand and become more and greater than what we were. If it means like, hey, I need to disengage, there are no harsh feelings. There is still love. If our paths are meant to cross again, they will. And the next time they cross, they'll be in a more beneficial space for all parties, because I chose to see the situation differently. And I chose to say, I'm not going to keep going into this collective group think that has kept me bound in cycles, has kept me stuck in dogmas, that has kept me restrained from actually embodying and exploring the infinite being that I am, the God Source. That's omnipresent. It's not contained. And are allowing ourselves to continue to keep expanding in all the aspects that it is. All the aspects. You're going to find that you're going to remember, you're going to have experiences with other people where it's going to make you feel shitty for a moment. Absolutely. And you're like, oh my God. How, because of who you perceive yourself now, you don't realize who you could have been then, or what you experienced then, but it doesn't define who you are now. And within this now is your choice of who you are going to become tomorrow, and the next day, and the day, and 20 years from now. It's saying, I see what has been, but what has been does not define who I am now and where I am going. And it's releasing that and letting that go. And that same perception you utilize when you perceive others. What has happened has happened. It's not who they are. That's a memory. And we can't fault anyone. And writing our own wheel is saying, I'm going to be neutral. I will be non-judgmental, and I will create and hold space with love, compassion, honesty, truth, and integrity for the highest good of all. And it's standing firm in that conviction. Doesn't mean you're not going to have experiences that are trying, that are painful, that are hard. But when you come out of that transition, out of that transformation, out of that revelation, you appreciate the majesty of the lesson, because it has helped you develop and become stronger, more confident in yourself. It helps you empower. And then when you're presented with situations that, again, your energy, your soul knows that energetic signature, are you going to play into it again? Are you going to choose a different path and do what is best for you and what you need? Or are you going to continue to give your power away to these other sources? You know? So I think that's it on my, I'm not sure that I fully, until I review this, expressed and communicated exactly what I wanted, but I trust and know that within the moment, the energy speaks for itself and will express what is needed. And those that are meant to hear and understand will receive the message. We are truly gifted in every moment when we can step aside from the chatter, when we can release all the noise, and all we have is ourselves and our source. And then we're able to hear the truth. And sometimes the truth isn't what we want to hear. But then you can feel the deep resonance within the body. And you can feel the release and the transformation of these energetic ties, of these burdens, of these imprints in our fields. And the lighter that we become when we walk through our experiences and we're presented with an energetic signature that is very familiar, we're able to discern and identify and say, I know this energy. I know where it can go and has gone. And I'm going to choose differently this time. And I'm going to see the situation in a different light. And I'm going to see it through the eyes of love and compassion. And I'm going to release the hate, release the jealousy, release the negativity and the lower based, gross energies that keep us bound. Because we're evolving. So thank you. Thank you all for being here and listening to my rambles. I appreciate you all. I hope you're all doing well. For me, this journey is all about perspective. It's all about simplicity. And it's all about knowing who you truly are outside of everything else. Without that knowledge, without that knowing of your true essence and your internal connection to your source, it makes it very difficult to see how you fit within the whole and how you connect with the whole. And even in those moments where you think you're connecting to others and everything else, and you're being shown something different, you don't lose your connection to the whole. Because it resides in you. It's not external. So whatever, it doesn't change your perception. And you can always come back home and find peace. Because it never left you. It's always been right here. I send you all off with much love on your journeys forward, on your journeys of remembrance. Take care.